Amazon rainforest, where the dense canopy blocks out the sun and the only sounds are the calls of distant birds and the rustling of leaves, there is a legend that sends shivers down the spine of every villager. This is the tale of the Curupira, the forest guardian with flaming red hair and backward-facing feet, known to protect the jungle with ferocious intensity. It was the year 2010, and I had just arrived in Manaus, Brazil, to conduct research on the diverse wildlife of the Amazon. As a biologist, the opportunity to explore the rainforest was a dream come true. However, I was warned by the locals to be cautious and respectful of the jungle. They spoke in hushed tones about the Curupira, a creature I had dismissed as mere superstition. One hot afternoon, accompanied by my guide João, we ventured deeper into the forest than we had ever gone before. João was a native of the region, a man of few words, but his eyes spoke volumes. He was nervous that day, constantly scanning the trees and muttering prayers under his breath. João, relax, I said, trying to ease the tension. It's just another day in the jungle. He shook his head, his expression grim. Não é apenas dia comum, doutor. Este lugar é sagrado. A Curupira não gosta de intrusos. I brushed off his concerns, too focused on the prospect of discovering new species. He pushed on, the air thick with humidity and the scent of earth and vegetation overwhelming. The deeper we went, the more uneasy João became. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, we came upon a small clearing. It was a beautiful spot, with a crystal-clear stream running through it and vibrant flowers blooming along the banks. I knelt down to take a water sample, but João refused to enter the clearing. João, come on, it's just a few more steps. He shook his head vehemently. Não, doutor. Este lugar é perigoso. Vamos embora. Ignoring his warnings, I proceeded to collect my samples. Suddenly, the forest grew eerily silent. The birds stopped singing, and even the insects seemed to disappear. I felt a chill run down my spine despite the heat. João's eyes widened in terror, and he began to back away slowly. That's when I saw it. A figure standing at the edge of the clearing, partially obscured by the trees. It was small, no taller than a child, with wild, fiery red hair that seemed to glow in the dim light. But it was the eyes that struck me, piercing green, filled with an ancient, almost malevolent intelligence. Before I could react, the creature stepped forward, revealing its backward-facing feet. My heart pounded in my chest as the realization hit me. This was the Curupira, the guardian of the forest, and we had trespassed on its domain. The Curupira's gaze locked onto mine, and I felt a wave of fear wash over me. João screamed something in Portuguese and took off running, but my legs felt like they were rooted to the ground. The creature began to speak, its voice a haunting whisper that seemed to come from all directions at once. Você ousa entrar em meu território, humano? Você não tem respeito pela floresta? I'm sorry, I stammered, my voice barely audible. I didn't mean to offend. The Curupira's eyes narrowed, and it took another step closer. A floresta não é lugar para você. Vá embora e nunca volte, ou enfrentará minha ira. With that, it vanished into the trees, leaving me standing there, trembling. I turned and fled, my heart racing, not stopping until I caught up with João. He was out of breath and pale, his fear evident. We need to leave, I said, my voice shaking. Now! We made our way back to Manaus in silence, the memory of the Curupira haunting me with every step. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of the creature's eyes, its backward feet, and its warning replayed in my mind over and over. The next day, I spoke with some of the locals, sharing my encounter. They listened intently, nodding in understanding. Você teve sorte, doutor, an elderly man said. A Curupira te deu uma chance. Muitas pessoas não têm essa sorte. From that day on, I heeded the warnings and respected the jungle's boundaries. The Curupira was more than just a legend. It was a protector, a guardian of the forest that demanded respect. And though I continued my research, I always made sure to honor the spirits of the Amazon. Years later, as I tell this story, I still feel the fear and awe of that encounter. The Curupira is a reminder of the power and mystery of the natural world, a force that commands respect and reverence. And as long as the jungles of the Amazon stand, so too will the legend of the Curupira, the fiery-haired guardian of the forest.